Okay, this is a demonstration of a product inventory tracking. This uses the UPC codes or QR codes for tracking inventory, scanning them in and out of inventory, and building an inventory list from these UPC codes. So there's a couple of aspects to this. One is just the simple inventory tracking, and what you have here on the front page, this would be the administrative part of it here, and on the right hand side here is what you would see if you were to log into the mobile app and use the phone. It uses the phone's camera as a barcode scanner. So if you were to just simply click on any one of these links, it would bring up a barcode scanner. You would scan that item. If it found it in the inventory, it would show you the description of what that item is. If it didn't find it in the inventory, it would give you an opportunity to add it to the inventory by giving it a proper description name. And then that information is kept and stored in the database, which is the back end. So what you see here are three particular reports. In no particular order or reason, but the bottom one here has inventory on hand. So according to the scans that have come into the system, there was 323 individual scanned parts that were actually added to the system. So that should be a good baseline of what inventory is on hand. And then as you use the mobile app, it scans out those items, and that's these items here. To give you an idea what that would look like on the phone, we're going to switch this over to manual mode, and that's because this is on a PC, and the PC does not have a barcode scanner in the phone. The camera can't be used as a scanner. So we're going to switch this over to manual mode, and we're going to show you what it would look like if we were going to take out a say a boom arm or something like that. So we would click on the out. This would then bring up the scanner. It would scan the number. I would simulate that scan by just punching in the barcode number, and then I would hit done there. And you will see that that will go into the database. It will bring it out, and it'll say we have this part number on hand. In fact, we have 11 on hand. This is the description, and it's making the assumption that you're scanning that out. So if you did, then you would punch in the customer's number, whatever that customer's number would be, and then you would just click remove item. As you did that, it would pull that out of inventory. You'd be down by 1, so the next time you scan, it would be 10, 9, 8, and so on. And then that item that was removed from the inventory gets plugged up into the top database up here, or the top report. You see this report keeps flickering, the page keeps flickering. This is because what it's doing is the database is going out and checking to see if any employee has recently scanned out any parts, and then it updates the database. So if we punch in that customer number and then hit remove the part, then we would hit done. That would close all of that, and then that information would come up in here. We can at any time and check to see what a quantity of an item is on hand by just hitting the quantity, again scanning the code or punching in the number electronically, and then it would come up and say yes, we do have 11 of those items. This is what the description is, and it shows the items. There are no serial numbers on any of these items. If it did, it would show the 11 different serial numbers there. But that's a quick way of if you're at a customer's house or their location, and you see that a part is required, you'd be able to quickly scan your truck or your inventory on hand to see whether or not you have that item out in your vehicle in the event that you had to replace it. So that's how that works. The scan in, again, it's the same thing. If I did a scan in, if I put in a barcode, and I'll just make one up here, and I hit done here, what that will do is it will ask me for a description of that, and then I would give that a description as to what it is, and then that item itself, and I will go, this is a new item, and now I can say if that's a part number and then there are multiple serial numbers to that, then I would say add a serial number to that. So that serial number will just do the opposite. We'll say 777787. And then we'll say that that is a serial number assigned to that part number. And then I can continue to add multiple serial numbers, or I can just hit done here. And now what that's done is it's put it in the database. So if I come over here into the database and I just type in that 777, I will see there it is there with the assigned part number that I assigned to it, the serial number, and the technician who put that serial number into the database. So I see that that information come up right there. Now this I don't want to pollute the data, so I'm just going to simply get rid of that, and that is now gone from the system. So now we have the tracking of the system here. So the nice thing is when you are taking out an item, so if you were scanning out an item and it asked you for the customer ID, you punch that in. Here's the customer ID that would appear, and you can click on this. So if the customer ID is in the database, it will attach this file to the customer. If the customer's information is not in the database yet, then what it'll do is it'll create a record. It will assign the customer ID number, and then it will just store that information. But the customer detail will come up blank, as you'll see here. I believe these are legitimate customer numbers. So if I click on one, you will see that it did bring me to the customer information. There is no technician here. It just shows me the customer ID, and we would probably populate that with the customer's, the technician number, the name that filled that out. But what we can do is we can see, based on this, what we call a work order, you can scroll down and you can see the technician's name, and you can see all of the items that were assigned or scanned out of inventory and placed in the customer's possession. So this would be a complete list, and I believe it to be an accurate list of what this customer would have received. In the event that the work order process is incorporated into this program, you can easily go in, so you would have a list of technicians. If I was to hit the star, star would indicate that the technician is currently online. So right now, if I went into myself, I'm not in the system right now, but it's showing that I'm offline. So if I was to now take that to, say, Paul, where Paul is currently online, he's logged into the mobile app, I can see that he's here. I can also send him a message by just simply checking this box right here. I hit save, and that would have sent him a message right now, and I can type in I can put in a box here that would put in a specific message. But basically what the concept of that would be to let Paul know that there's a new work order, and it would send him the customer ID, the customer name, the customer information, and then any customer detail as to what he might be required to do with this. So if there's any information that the customer, that we wanted to share, we just hit that. It instantly goes to the mobile app. He gets an alert, he checks it, he can see all the details pertaining to this particular work order. So that's kind of a backdoor presentation into work orders, but let me show you what they look like. Again, if these were managed from the back end, if you decide that's an approach you want to take, it really is just as simple as going into the work orders. That would have a list of all, and this is just test data here. Some of this is legit, but most of it's test data. So these would be all open work orders. These are all closed work orders. You could have any report that you want here. You could have it grouped by the technician, the day of the week, whatever the case may be. But we're going to add a new work order into the system. We received a phone call from a customer that there's a problem with their satellite, not getting reception or something like that. We're just going to add a work order, and again, this gives us the ability to see. Again, a star indicates the technician is currently online in their mobile app, so they should receive this notification. If the technician was offline, we would still send that message, but in addition to that, we would probably send out a text message, and we would send out an email containing the pertinent information. So they would get that information a number of ways. The important thing is that this information needs to get out to the technician as quickly as possible. And if this is so this would be in a situation where a customer has a need for an immediate repair, or you are assigning this a level of priority. That's when you would say, hey, are we going to alert the technician regarding this? This may be something, might be a work order for another day, but if it's something that has to get done today, then we would want to send out that alert so that the technician gets that information right away. And then this is just some basic information. You just go through and fill out whatever information you have with regards to the information pertaining to the customer, and this work order could then be saved, shipped off to the technician, and then the technician would have a mobile app that he could interact with this and report back. And then this opens up a whole world of opportunity when it comes to what information you're collecting on a customer and what historical information you're collecting on a customer. If a customer, some of the other features of the software would be that once this is up and running in place and is current, a technician can go out to a service call, say a couple of years later, or whatever else have you, and scan any serial number. And he will be able to immediately track that serial number right back to the technician who put it into the house, because all of that information is tracked. And again, he would be in a situation where he could scan any part number, any serial number. If the serial number is in the system, then it will we will be able to trace it back. Some of the other features is that we would be able to trace that serial number back to multiple customers. If it went from customer to customer to customer, we would be able to trace that back and forth, as well as track every technician that had those transactions. So a couple of extra features that we're currently working on now to help boost this up is on the scan out capabilities. The scan out capabilities is going to give you the opportunity to record multiple, sorry, not record, but to track or capture multiple photographs. So if there was something that you were scanning out and you punched in the barcode, and now that we have this information, this may be the last part of the customer's work order for the day. So this would remember the last customer number. So we're going to put in a little checkbox here that just says previous scan or previous customer ID. And that, again, what that does is it just prevents the technician, or it helps the technician in collecting the data and making sure that the data we get is in there is correct. Because if we put in a customer number 145451, because the technician missed the last one, then a whole new customer record gets created. So it's just kind of to try to help clean up the data by making sure that we're doing as much as we can to help prevent dirty data from going into the system. And then at the end of that, we'll have a small little camera picture here. When you click on it, it will actually activate the camera's phone. They will be able to snap a photograph, add it to here, and then that photograph would get attached to that particular work order that would have been created. And you can have multiple photographs of that particular customer's order item, whatever the repair item was. So you can have a number of photographs associated with that. So this is just some of the basic features that we have put in here. Came together pretty quickly. It's this pretty solid program. Speaking with the technician, Paul, seems to be working very well for him. So hopefully this has caught your attention, and if you would like to move forward with something like this, then we look forward to chatting with you further. Thank you, and have a great day.